Hello, and congratulations on making it to the next step of becoming a school bus driver in the state of Pennsylvania. We're making this tool available to you so that you can use it, and along with your training with the behind the wheel trainer, so that you can successfully pass the pre-trip portion of your test. We're going to start with the very beginning, and so as a bus driver you would walk up to the school bus and you would make sure that you're looking for these certain things. We're going to start with, we're going to look around the bus, make sure that there's no signs of vandalism at all, there are no scrapes, no anything broken on the front of the bus, and this is just pertaining to the bus itself. Next, we're going to also look and make sure that the bus is sitting level. The reason we're doing that is because we want to make sure that there are no flat tires. If it's not sitting level, chances are you have a flat tire. We're also going to look to make sure that there's no fluid leaks under. So you might have to just kind of reach down, make sure that there's nothing dripping underneath your school bus. As long as you got those things covered, you're good for the overall view of the front of the school bus. Okay, we're going to concentrate on the front view of the school bus right now, and I find that the easiest way to do that is to start at the top and work your way down. That way you can kind of look at each section, make sure that you're not missing anything. So we're going to start at the very top, the three lights on the top. They are your clearance lights. We have to make sure that they're clear. We have to make sure that all the lenses are there, they're secure, they're not broken, and of course they would be the amber color or the yellow color. Next, going out to the outsides would be your 8-way system. Again, we're going to look for the same things. Make sure that the lenses are not cracked, they're not broken, they are all intact, they are the right color. The ambers, of course, are going to be your yellows on the inside, and on the outside is going to be your reds. Moving to the center of the school bus is the school bus sign. We just have to make sure that that is present and it is able to be read and secure. Moving down to our windshield, we're going to now make sure that the windshield is secure, clean, and clear. Make sure that obviously there's no cracks or anything in it, there's no damage to it. We're also looking to make sure that there's no illegal stickers there present on the windshield, and no obstructions to the windshield either. Also, we're going to look and go to our stickers, the ones that we have to have on the bus, and we would see that they are present and that they are also current. We want to also look around the outside of our windshield, make sure that our seals are all in place and that there's no cracks or anything in them. The windshield wipers are our next item, and we're going to make sure that they are secure. We're going to make sure that they are in place and in good condition. Okay, the next is on our items are the windshield wiper blades. We have to make sure that they are intact, they are present, they have the right amount of tension on them, and that they are ready to go. So in order to do that, one way that we might, and the instructor or the tester may ask you to do this, is you can come to the side of the bus. There's a little flip ledge there that you can stand on because I can't reach it. So we could crawl up on there, just give a little tug on the windshield wiper blade to make sure that the tension is correct on them. Moving down again, we're going to come to the mirrors. So you're going to be checking your mirrors. You're going to make sure that your mirrors are secure, there's no missing bolts on any of the holders for the mirrors, and that they're in good condition, they're adjusted properly, and they're clean. I like to just touch those when I'm telling it to the tester, because then it just kind of has you go through the motion that you would go through when you're actually checking your bus. Moving back down to the headlights now. Again, I'm going to touch those and give them a little push. We're making sure that the lenses are all intact, they're clear, they're clean, they're not broken, nothing is missing, and when we just give a little push on that, that tells the tester that they're okay. Moving out to the outside would be our turn signals. We're going to make sure the same things, that everything's intact, it's clear, it's no broken pieces on it at all. We're going to now move down to our bumper. So as we move to the bumper, again, you can grab a hold of that and just kind of give it a little shake, or sometimes I even give it a little kick with my foot. I'm making sure that there are no cracks, no welds in the bumper, and it is secure. Moving to the last item in the front would be our cross arm. You can go and give that a little tug too. Make sure that it is secure and that it would be working properly. And that completes the whole top to bottom of our front view of the school bus.
Alright, so now we will be going under the hood on the right side. We will be checking our air filter and our gauge to make sure they are secure and not leaking From there, we go into our hoses, make sure that they are secure, not leaking, there's no damage, the clamps are secure. We check our wire casings to make sure they are secure, there's no tears or no frays. Okay, so now we will be checking our alternator. It is right here. We want to make sure that it's mounted securely, the wires are securely attached, that this is belt driven, and that our belt has no more than 3/4 inch play, and that belt is not torn or frayed. We then we have our oil filter, which is down here. It is mounted securely, it's not leaking, and it's not missing. We then have our water pump down here that is also belt driven. It is not leaking, it's not damaged, it's secure, and that belt should have no more than 3/4 inch play. The belt is not torn, frayed, or missing any teeth. We then have our radiator. It is secure, it's not leaking, it's not damaged, mounted securely. Our fan blades move freely, there's none missing, it's mounted securely. So now we will be checking our windshield wiper fluid reservoir. We want to make sure that it is secure, it's not leaking, there's no cracks, and it's at adequate level.
We will now go to the suspension part of the bus. We have here the frame. The frame itself is in good condition, no cracks, no damage, no weld. I have a shock absorber. My shock absorber is secure, it's not damaged, and I see no leakage out of my shock absorber. I have down here, the long things are my leaf springs. They are in good condition, not cracked, broken, or missing. I check my shackles, my hangers, my U-bolts, my mounts, and my bushings at each end to make sure that they're secure and not damaged or missing. I will check my axle coming across to make sure that my axle is not damaged in any way. From there, I will go to my brakes. On my brakes, I have here my brake hose or line coming out to my brake cylinder, and I have my ABS line there, which is both secure, clamped properly, and not leaking or anything. I have my brake cylinder here. My brake cylinder is in good condition and not damaged. I have my slack adjuster and push rod. They are in good condition, nothing missing. And if I were to check the adjustment on the slack adjuster, I'd chock the brakes, or chock the wheels, I'd release the brakes, and I should not be able to move more than 1 inch on the push rod. Coming out from there, I have my S-cam rod that comes out from there, and I will make sure that my S-cam rod coming out from there is not damaged. I come out to my brake drum, and my brake drum's inside here, and it would not be damaged or cracked or anything. I will check my brake lining. I will make sure that my brake lining is in good condition, no excessive grease or oil on it, and it has to be at least 1/4 of an inch of pad on the thinnest spot. From there, I will go to my wheel and my tire. I will check my tire for even wear. I will make sure that it is evenly worn. I will make sure that it is not a re-grooved or retreaded on the front of the bus. I will make sure that it has a minimum of 4/32 in depth of tread. I will check the sidewalls to make sure the sidewalls are both in good condition, no cuts or scrapes or breaks. I will check my rim to make sure that my rim is in good condition and not damaged or bent. I will check the lug nuts on here, and I will check them all to make sure that they're all tight. And if I was subject to think that they were loose, I would see rust at the base or shininess on the threads to show that they had backed off at some point. In the center here, I have a center hub. I'll make sure that that's secure, and I'll make sure that it's not leaking any fluid. I will check the valve stem to make sure that the valve stem is capped, or the valve stem is good shape and it's capped. And I would use that to either put air in the tire or check the pressure of the tire, the air in the tire. Back here I have a mud flap, and my mud flap is secure and not damaged. On the left side, as we check things over here, I'll start with the motor again and the parts thereof. I have my air lines up here. My air lines are all in good condition. Nothing seems to be loose or leaking. I have my wiring casings up here and junction boxes, and they all seem to be in good shape. I see no burnt or loose wires. I will check hoses on this side as well to make sure that my hoses are all intact and all the clamps are in place. I will come down from there to my reservoir for my antifreeze, and I make sure that my reservoir is not leaking, and I make sure that it's filled to adequate level. I will come down from there to my dipsticks. I have my oil dipstick here that is checked to check the engine oil. I have to check that cold. To check that, I would pull it out, wipe it off, stick it back in, and then pull it out and check it to make sure that it's at proper level. My transmission is here, Phil, the red one. That has to be checked hot and with the motor running. I would check it the same way I would check that, pull it out, wipe it off, stick it back in, and then pull it back out and check it. I have my 2 fuel filters, which are right there, the black things, and they are secure and they are not leaking. Right inside there where you see the copper pipe and the black pipe going into, down in here, I have my air compressor. My air compressor is secure, not damaged, not hanging loose. Mounted on the bottom side of that is my power steering pump. My power steering pump is secure as well. They are both gear driven. I will go from there to I am done with the motor now on this side. Now I'll go to the steering mechanism. On the steering mechanism, I have my steering column. My steering column is not damaged or not broken. I have my steering gearbox. My steering gearbox is secure and not damaged. I have all the lines to my steering mechanism, and it is not, none of them are leaking or none of them are loose, and all the clamps are in place. I have my reservoir for the power steering fluid, and it is secure and it is at adequate level. I have my pitman arm and my drag linkage, and they are both secure, and they are held on there by castle nuts and the cotter pins, which are in at both places.
So now we are moving on to the outside bus inspection for the driver's side. We do start from the top and work to the bottom. At the top we have our clearance lights. We have 3. They are amber, and red in the back. They are clean, clear, not broken or missing. We then go into our driver window. It is operating properly, it's not damaged, it is secure. We then have our fuse box. It is secure, there is no damage, door opens freely, latch is working properly. We then go into our battery box. The batteries have no excessive corrosion, the cell caps are present, the battery is secure, door opens freely, and it latches securely. We then have our stop arm. It is secure, not damaged, no missing bolts. Our lenses are clean, clear, and they are in the proper color of red, and they are not damaged. We then go into our emergency exits along the windows. We have 3 of them, and we want to make sure that the reflective tape around the windows are in good condition. They're not damaged. From there, we are then going to go into our reflectors along the bottom of the bus. They do mirror our clearance lights, so they are amber, red. They are clean, clear, securely attached to the bus.
Inspecting the underside of the bus, what we're going to look at is the floor of the bus to verify that there are no broken pieces, there's no rust or corrosion or damage to the box or underbody of the bus. After that, we're looking at the cross members under the bus to be sure that they are secure, not broken, damaged, or missing. There's no excessive rust, cracks, or welds or damage to those. Following that, we have the frame. We're checking the frame to be sure that it is securely attached. All nuts and bolts and everything are secure, none damaged or missing. There are no cracks or welds in the frame, and it is in good condition. We have the exhaust pipe of the bus. We're checking to make sure that all of the hangers are secure. There's no damage to the exhaust. We don't see any obvious leaks, which would be indicated by excessive carbonization on the ground or carbon leaks from the exhaust on the ground. We now have the drive shaft. We're checking the drive shaft to make sure it is again securely attached. There's no damage to the drive shaft, no pieces hanging free. The universal joints are secure. Everything is tight. Our hangers are secure and tight. There is no twisting or damage to the drive shaft itself. Moving to the rear, we're looking at the rear axle of the bus. We are checking to make sure that it is not leaking. There's no missing nuts or bolts or hardware on the rear axle. It appears to be straight and in good working condition. No cracks, no welds in the body of the rear axle. Above the rear axle, we have the torque arm. We're checking both ends of the torque arm to make sure that the bushings, nuts and bolts all appear to be in good condition, nothing damaged, broken, or missing, and the torque arm itself is in good condition, no cracks, no welds, and not obviously damaged.
At this point, you would tell your tester that if I had a creeper, I would check the rear suspension and rear brake system. You would check the rear shocks to make sure they are secure and not leaking. You would then check your leaf springs to make sure you have no cracked, broken, or missing leaves, that your leaf springs are not damaged, that your shackles, hangers, U-bolts, and mounts are all mounted securely, and that you have no damaged bushings. From there, you would go into your brake system. You would want to check your brake hose to make sure that it is secure, it's not leaking, your couplings are secure. You want to make sure that your brake chamber is secure, not missing, not broken. All bolts are securely attached. At this point, you would check your slack adjuster and push rod. You want to make sure that it is secure. Your push rod should move no more than 1 inch when the wheels are chalked and the parking brake is released. When it is pulled by hand, you have no broken, loose, or missing parts. From there, you will go into your brake drum and lining. It is secure, no cracks, no dents, no holes. You have no missing bolts. You have no debris. There's no grease or oil residue. Your lining should not be worn. So when you look through the sight glass, you should see at least 1/4 of an inch of lining. And the difference between your drums and rotors are that your drums push out and your rotors squeeze. And please just remember that at this point, you will not go under the bus, that you will tell them if I had a creeper.
Your back tires should both be evenly worn. They should be either radial or bias ply, cannot be either or, one or the other. No less than 2/32 tread depth. They're on a bud wheel for proper space between them. The sidewalls should be in good condition. No cuts, no bulges, no tears. The rim, there should not be any welds, no dents, no rust. Your lug nuts should all be secure. Any shiny metal or rust would indicate one of them is loose. The hub, if you had a sight glass, you should be able to see check the oil level in that for your axle hub. And you want to check both of your valve stems to make sure they're both capped, which they are, and you would check them with a tire pressure gauge. Okay, when you get to the back of the bus, you have 3 red clearance lights at the top. None are cracked, broken, damaged, none are missing. Then we drop down to the school bus sign. It's properly affixed, it doesn't have any debris on it, and it's not covered in any way. Then you get to your 8-way light system. They're amber in the middle and red on the outside. None of them are cracked, broken, damaged, and none are missing. When you get down to the door, you have the reflective tape around the emergency door, and it's in good condition. If the key was in the ignition and turned on, when you open the back door, the buzzer would sound. We're also checking to make sure the hinges are in good condition and the door latches. Then we'll come down to the 4 windows. They're in good condition, none are cracked or broken, none are damaged. The rubber seals around all the windows are in good condition. Then we have our lights in the back. We have our backup lights, which are clear in color, our brake lights and tail lights that are red in color, and our turn signals in 4 ways that are amber in color. None are cracked, broken, none are damaged or missing. Our license plate is affixed, it's in good condition. We have 2 red reflectors on the back that are attached, none are missing. We have the back bumper, it is secure, it's not damaged or dented or welded in any way. And our tailpipe is secure and nothing is blocking it. We're checking this side the same way we check the driver's side. We're checking for any damage to the windows. We have our 3 clearance lights on the top that are amber and red. There's no damage to any of the windows to the side of the bus in any way. We have our 3 emergency exits that are clearly marked with the reflective tape around them, as you can see it. They're in good condition. We also want to check our fuel door and our fuel cap to make sure it's secure. And the door's in good condition.
After inspecting the fuel door and fuel cap, we will come underneath the bus here to inspect the fuel tank and fuel tank cage, as well as the fuel lines for the bus. We're going to verify that the fuel tank is secure, the straps holding the tank are secure, no missing nuts or bolts or hardware of any kind. I'll verify that the fuel tank is not leaking. We'll also check to see that the tank cage is secure, no missing nuts or bolts or hardware, and it is protecting the tank adequately. We're also going to verify that the fuel lines are secure and not leaking.
Diesel exhaust fluid is here. You want to check to make sure the cap is secure, and the garage takes care of that. We have our door entry light. It's clear in color, it's not cracked, broken, or damaged. We have our doors, all the glass is in good condition, the handle's secure, all the rubber seals are in good condition. It opens freely. Okay. You want to check our handrail. It is secure. Our step light is clear in color. It is not damaged. Our steps, there's no debris on them. The tread is in good condition.
So now we are going into the bus and we're going to do the inside bus inspection. We will take the keys that we've had, place them into the ignition, and we'll turn it to the on position, but do not start the engine. At this point, we are going to walk back the bus and check the seats to make sure there is no vandalism. The seats are secure, the frames are secure to the floor. We are checking our aisle to make sure that it is free of any debris and it is secure. Once we get to the back of the bus, we will be checking the emergency exit door. We are going to make sure it sounds. The alarm sounds, door latches, the lamp is lit. And now we will walk back up to the front of the bus to check the emergency windows. So for all emergency windows, you will push out, lift the lever, push out, opens freely, latches securely. And then we have our emergency roof hatches. In an event of an emergency, we will turn the red knob to the right, push the red knob to get out. In an emergency, the alarm will sound. And with all the emergency exits, you will check everyone separately, but for this video, we'll only do it once. And then we walk to the front of the bus, and we will do our emergency equipment. So our emergency equipment, we have some things up here. We have our 3 triangles in a red box behind the driver's seat, located right here. They are secure, not missing, not damaged. We have our pry bar located behind the seat. It is secure, not missing or damaged. Over in the driver's area, we have our glove box. In our glove box, we would have spare fuses if equipped. We do not have spare fuses, we have circuit breakers. We would also have a rider and route list. Above us, we have important numbers, insurance, and our registration. Over here we have Our fire extinguisher, we want to make sure it's tagged correctly. The yellow needle is registering in the green. Up here we have our first aid kit. It is secured to the bus. If anything is used, we will replace with new. And then we also have our body fluids kit. If it was used, we will replace with new, and it is secure. So now we are in our driver's seat, and we're going to make sure that our seat is secure, nothing's broken. Our air adjustment is in good condition. It is working properly. It is adjusted for when we need it, where we need it to be driving. From there, we will go into checking our seat belt. It's not torn or frayed, and it is adjusted properly and is secure in the right position across my neck. So now at this point, we're going to safely start the vehicle. Our glow plug just came on and went off. Our ABS light is going to go off, stating that it's safe to drive, and our transmission is in neutral. Our parking brake is set, so now it is safe to start. At this point, we will be listening for any unusual noises to make sure that the bus is in working condition. So now we will go over our driver controls. So this is our air, either recycled or fresh, our heat, driver or defroster, and then our temperature, either cold or hot. From there we have our master flasher. We will turn this on. This controls our 8-way lighting system. We have to have this on if we're going to be using it. From there, we will check our amber flasher lights. We click it once. It shows that my ambers are working properly. We turn our knob to make sure that our lights come on when we have it on the warning lights. Our stop sign will come out with the lights on it working. Our crossing arm does come out, and our red lights should be flashing. From there, we can open our door. Door opens properly, and once that is done, we can close it back up. From there, we have our strobe light. It is working properly. On, off. Our rear dome, on, off, working properly. Driver dome, on, off, working properly. And the rest of the dome lights on, off, working properly. We have our rear heater, low, high, off, working properly. We have our step well heater, low, high, off, working properly. We have our driver heater defroster, low, high, off, working properly. You do want to make sure that you are checking to make sure you do fill the air for the defroster. Up here you have your fans, so low, high, off, working properly. Our right fan, low, high, off, working properly. We have our mirror adjustments. This is for our bottom convex mirrors. We want to make sure they're adjusted for us for when we drive. These are our top flat mirrors, and we want to make sure that we have them adjusted properly. Down here in front of me, I have my lamp check. If I click this button, it'll run through all of my lights around the bus. I use this during a daily pre-trip inspection. Here I have my lights for the bus. They need to be on at all times. I then have panel lights that I can click up or down to adjust how bright they are, and if you're driving at night, you can put them down if you need to. In front of us, I have my turn signal. So I have my left turn signal, I have my right turn signal. If I pull this towards me, my high beams will come on, and then you do it again and they go off. On the top of the steering wheel, you have your 4-ways. They are working properly. I have my steering wheel. For a 20-inch wheel, you should have no more than 2-inch play. I do have cruise control on here, so I can turn it on, and I can set it so that I do have cruise control. and then I'll just turn that off. So now I have my windshield wipers in spray. It is working properly. All speeds are working properly. From there I have my gear shift. I want to make sure that all of my gears, I can shift smoothly through them and none are sticking. So down into first. That is working properly. I have my pedals, I have my accelerator, they are covered, nothing is in the way, nothing sticking. I have my air brake pedal, it is properly covered, nothing is in the way to obstruct it, and it's not sticking. And then from there I will go onto my gauges. So over here I have different types of gauges. I have my transmission gauge, it is reading in the proper range, if not an alarm would sound. I have my water temperature gauge. It is reading properly, if not an alarm would sound. I have my oil pressure gauge. It is reading properly, if not an alarm would sound. And then on the other side, I have my voltmeter. It is reading in the proper range, if not an alarm would sound. This is showing that the alternator is charging the battery. And then I have my brake air. It is reading in the proper range, if not an alarm would sound, and that's 120 to 140. Now we will go on to these controls right here. We have our exhaust brake that is on. We have our traction control. We can use that while we're on the road. And then we have a snooze for our child check, so that if we can't get back there right away, we could click it and it would snooze the child check. This is our parked regen button. If we would turn it on, it would do a regen for the emissions. You shouldn't really have to deal with this button. The bus would either do it automatically or the maintenance department would take care of it. Now over here we have our emergency door. So if my button in the driver's compartment is closed and you release the air out of the door, you can push the door open now in an emergency to get out.
Before we begin the air brake test, I'm first going to make sure that we have a fully charged air system. To do that, I'm going to bleed off some brake pressure by depressing the brake pedal 2 times, which will allow the governor to turn back on and recharge the air system. You will notice that the air system is fully charged when you hear a distinct whooshing noise coming from the air dryer. If you didn't hear that, it sounds like a psh. We now have a fully charged air system, approximately 120 psi. First thing I'm going to do is turn the bus off. I'm going to turn the key back to the on position without starting the vehicle. And we are going to release the parking brake and take our foot off of the brake. After the initial pressure loss, you will time for 60 seconds and verify that you do not lose more than 2 psi. And I will begin timing now. Again, we're timing for 60 seconds, verifying that we did not lose more than 2 psi after the initial pressure loss. It is important to wait for those needles to stop moving before you begin timing. Okay, that has been 60 seconds and pressure is holding. Next, we're going to apply firm, if not full pressure, to the service brake pedal. And again, after the initial pressure loss, we're going to time for 60 seconds to verify that we do not lose more than 3 psi over 60 seconds. And timing now. During this portion of the test, it is important to keep your foot firmly on the brake pedal. Do not move your foot. Do not allow the brake pedal to come back up. Fluctuations may cause air pressure loss, which would cause the needle to move, requiring you to start over again. And 60 seconds are up and pressure is holding. At this point, we are going to begin fanning the brake pedal in a slow and deliberate fashion to release air from the system to verify that the warning light and buzzer will activate before dropping below 60 psi. And you'll notice I'm pumping the brake very slow so that we do not release air faster than the gauge can keep up. Warning light and buzzer has activated. We're going to continue to bleed off air pressure, again in a slow and deliberate fashion. We are now checking to make sure that the spring brake activates when the pressure falls between 40 and 20 psi. And the spring brake has activated between 40 and 20 psi. I'm now going to restart the engine to verify that we build pressure from 85 to 100 psi in 45 seconds or less while operating at approximately 1,000 RPMs. So we've restarted the bus. We're going to operate the engine by depressing the throttle pedal slightly and hold the engine at approximately 1,000 RPMs. And again, we're timing 85 to 100 psi in 45 seconds or less. And we're going to start timing now. Stop timing now. and pressure has built from 85 to 100 psi in 45 seconds or less. In this case, it took approximately 21 seconds. At this point, we are now going to verify that the parking brake is holding. To do that, we're going to depress the brake pedal, place the vehicle into drive, release the brake pedal, and apply a firm but brief stab of the throttle 2 or 3 times. You notice that the bus did rock a little bit, but it did not move, indicating that the parking brake is holding. We'll return the transmission to neutral. At this point, we will state that I do prefer to operate my vehicle at approximately 120 psi. I have now completed my air brake test.